Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lighting Your Sunshine, where we like to shine a light within and empower ourselves. So for today's reading, I don't really know. I've been kind of like picking up on energies and vibes over the last couple days, and I've got like a mishmash of everything. So it all started when I was out cloud gazing. When I was out watching the clouds, I got some insights. And so the first one I got was about that ex, the donkey of the day one. And then I do remember that one very vividly. And then as time went on, I saw a new story come on. And I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is very similar or connected to this ex that accidentally poisoned themselves with their own toxic behaviors and choices. And I was like, but this is a different story. So I ran to go get my book before I got them mixed up or confused. It seemed like the one story really stuck with me, and then I felt like the second one was more important because it was more self-focused. And so I ran and got my book, and by the time I wrote down the first one, that second vision was totally gone. I can't remember anything it had to do with it. Other than it was very important. And so yeah, I thought, let's go look at the clouds again. Maybe just by like putting myself in the same environment, it will kind of like re-zhuzh or something, but it didn't happen. And so by the time I went back out, I went and looked up at the sky, and it was completely gray. It was like not a single speck of blue sky at all. Whereas before, the clouds were moving so fast and it was such a story. Like it was like watching TV. It was moving so quick. And so I went, and then they told me that that was a part of the message, the blackout. And they told me it's not a blackout, it's a blockout. And then so they said that because like a blackout is almost like imagine like a very pitch black room, but darkness or black is something. They showed that this was a void of nothing. So in the very, very depths of the dark, there is something there. Nothing is something, but in this case, it's a blockout. It's like you know that there's something there, but you just can't quite see past it. You can't work through it. It's like a hazy fog. And yeah, so then I've been sitting in this fog for a while, for a couple days, to be honest. It's been uncomfortable, and it's like, the best I can say is like, it's almost like you cut yourself off from source. And we all find ourselves in these moments at some time. And so it's like you're cut off from source, and that's what they showed. Oh my gosh, and that's what the realization was in my vision. Remember how I said I knew that this one was more important, but I couldn't remember it? And it just didn't come to me. And it's coming to me at this moment. It was what I'm going through right now. It's like in times in our life when we have our spiritual awakenings or spiritual moments, it doesn't have to be spiritual, to be honest, in our life where we grow, right? We learn something and we gain this new insight or knowledge, and we use that, and it kind of helps form our beliefs and values. And in that moment, you see things so clear. You're like, how did I never see things like this? And like I said, it changes your beliefs, you change your lifestyle. It's like, how did I never see this? Is just the thing that they keeps hearing in the background. But then sometimes it's almost like when you hang a picture on a wall, and how when you see that art every day at the beginning, you go and you observe it, and you admire the colors, the line work, the everything, and then eventually it just starts to become part of the background. It starts to blend in. You don't see it, you forget it. Sometimes you'll like even walk by and not even recognize that it's on the wall. It's just become part of the surroundings. And that's what they kind of showed this blockout is. It's like you kind of have these moments of like peak, that's what I see it as, like spiritual enlightenment or like recognition of the soul purpose or journey. And it's like, aha. And it's just like having clarity, and you know, you're eating well, you're feeling well, mind, body, soul, everything's flowing and in connect. And then next thing you know, you're cut from that source and you forgot all those things that you just learned. And then like relearning them. And that's what it kind of showed. And so I was like, oh, that's so important. Like, I got to go and run and write that down. But from that moment, it was so brief. It was such a moment of just embodying it that it was just a fleeting moment. And I didn't have that until I actually sat here in front of you and just started spewing things out. And I sat on this for days and I could not remember what it was I saw. But I saw it as like, that's where I got the Mario mixed up. So it started off with like Tweedledum and Tweedledee in the first one, but it was Mario in the second one. And it showed him as he ate the mushrooms and became different levels of himself, right? Sometimes there's like little Mario, there's mushroom Mario, and then there's like the flying tail feather Mario. And like, it's just different levels and evolvement. So yeah, that's been bugging me so much. So I kept seeing this like ball of light, and this light was like a doorway or something, and then in front of it this gray haze. Okay, that cut off. So yeah. So anyways, I as I was thinking about this like gray fog, I started to think about disassociation, and that's how it kind of explained. So I saw this reel, and it talked about people who disassociate, how they'll be like so engaged in a task and like doing it, and then all of a sudden they'll disassociate. And so they'll go to this place. And that's like escapism, avoidism, right? We have so many crutches that sometimes we just don't want to embody like the full moment, and we run from it. And Spirit kind of brought it back to like, why do we run? Sometimes it's things that are so pleasant. It's just things that make us so excited. And so like, that's what I've been kind of struggling with this past week, to be honest, is I know that there's these things that I have to do, but I haven't been doing them. In fact, I did all the hard work. I did all the preparing and the prep and the actual like physical work of it. And I'm almost at that point where it's like the very end. It's almost like, you just have to send an email. Just hit that send button. And for some reason, that hitting that send on whatever this thing I've been working on has been kind of like stopping me and delaying me. And it's really bugging me. And I feel like that's almost like this block. But anyway, so back to this disassociating. So when you disassociate, right, you kind of go to this other place. And then when you come back, it talked about this hazy fogginess, and how it's like makes you really tired, and how you just don't feel grounded in your body. Like, things feel weird. And so that's what they kind of showed with this Mario, right? We have different versions, and there's some of us where we have major clarity, but there are some things that when we start to feel it, it's so intense that it's something that's like almost too happy, or it's too traumatic. Like, it's opposite ends. Like, we want to find balance in the middle. And so in these moments, we try to like rush from it and disassociate. And that's why they say like sometimes you can be at these stages in life and have like pure clarity. And then there's other times where we fall back into the blockout, or the gray hazy fog. And that's what I kind of see. I see this fog as like gray, like a dark gray, but there's like this rainbow shimmer in it. And like, it's showing the shimmer now as like we can get stuck in patterns and addictions or something, escapism, to stay there. But I also see it as like a light kind of shining out, because you never feel the best in those moments. But you feel very disconnected. You just feel like, you know, that there's this light pulling you to something better. You know you should feel better. You know you should think clearer. And it's really a brain fog. It's almost like the mind, it's like slush, pulling it down. So then I kind of did a little bit of thinking. right? I just go out every day, write some notes. And I was like, this reading, there's something weird about it. And then I had this like aha moment about that whole disassociation coming back to your body. Like maybe you were at that level 3 tail flying, right, astral traveling, and now you're kind of stuck back to like that 3D human experience and not feeling as magical as you did before, because the heart is a little heavy, the mind's a little foggy, and that's fine. In those moments, they were saying that it's just best for you to observe. When you're really in the gray and hazy and the foggy moments, it's almost like Spirit says, we cut you from that source because it's for you to have faith and belief without needing to have that constant 100%. I want to say support. Like, obviously, you know you're supported by the universe, but what about those moments where you don't see that you're supported? Does your heart still lead the way, or do you get into like negative ruts and routines and patterns and things like that? So then I kept thinking, and even today while I was like outside meditating, I looked over at the rock and I saw a donkey in it. And I'm like, I feel like that the first vision where it was like the donkey of the day kind of thing, I'm feeling a little bit bad for calling them a donkey. It seems like somebody, as it says, an ex poisoned themselves with their toxic behavior and patterns. And then in it, it's like they wanted to blame it on you, but you're over there, and that's what I see in this fog, in this haze. And it's like in the bright shiny moments, like they can't blame you because you know you're doing really well and like you're not into toxic behaviors or patterns. But it's almost like in the gray and the fog, it's like I wonder if I could throw things at them and like let that stick. And maybe that's where that name calling came from, calling someone a donkey, you jackass. But it was kind of jackass behavior that they were going through, because they only thought about themselves, right? They were only self-thinking, and in the end, they turned in this vision. Started off as Tweedledee, Tweedledum. They found this thing, they drank it, it turned them into Donkey Kong, who started throwing everything and having like these fits and rage, and then wanting to like take your star. And so that was like the vision, is like, oh, because I said there's like different levels in the next one I seen, because I knew they were connected, but I couldn't remember it by the time I got, and it was all blacked out. And it's like maybe you were at that flying high part, and then somebody kind of threw something at you, this X energy, and maybe it did kind of like make you spin out a bit into this gray, foggy. It's a brain fog. It just, you're not thinking as clear, you're not seeing as clear. But in those moments, it's almost like I see like fog beams coming on in a car. It's like you can't really see around you, but it's almost like if you shine that light, you'll find the rainbow, right? There's that rainbow mist in it. And so that's what I see. I see going back and then being a little bit mad at yourself because you're like, well, I've already learned this lesson. Like, why am I here? Why am I scared to move forward? Well, because you're in a foggy, hazy maze. And it's like, I don't want to charge forward. I don't want to make plans. I don't want to do all these things while I don't quite have clear guidance to move forward. So I thought about that, and it's like, it said in this moment, it's like a make or break, this block out. They keep calling it a block out. I just see it as a gray, cloudy cube that kind of goes over you. And it's not quite that you've been cut from your source, but it's the illusion that you've been cut from your source. And in that, it's a make or break moment. You could sit there, and the whole purpose is just to finally observe your surroundings, because you're not getting anything, you're not, right? And so whatever you observe really is that internal struggle that's going within. So if you're a person that's like, this isn't fair, that's not fair, and then like, I need vengeance on this, like this person made me mad, it might spin more that way, right? It might turn into a blackout. And in the void, in the blackout, that's where you will find the harder soul lessons, because there's less light, but you'll also still get to the same place. Or you can work through that brain fog and like lighten up. You can just observe, understand that that's a reflection that's within you that needs healing, and not try to force that healing, just accepting that healing, being like, okay, this kind of makes me a little jealous, this really does this, but like not like leaning into it and being like, remember in the first one it was like trying to take someone's star or like, you know, point the blame on them. And so yeah, as I kept thinking about this, I was like, I kept being brought to the gray and the rainbow. It's almost like this gray shimmery. I feel like the light was so bright that it's like nothing. And then the darkness is so dark that it's nothing. And then at least in the gray, that's why there's that rainbow shimmer. It's like that's where contrast kind of comes in and like adds depth and contrast to your lessons, to your soul. And so today I woke up and I felt weird. What did I feel? I felt like detached from everything. I felt everything as like a brown, not gray, but I felt it like brown. I felt a very earthly connection, and I felt like everything had just been twisted or shifted. There's a shift happening. That's what they keep showing me, that this shift has happened. And so I have this weird feeling, and I've had this weird feeling in a couple of my readings. These readings kind of boggle my mind. I never know if like even to like trust what I'm saying, because I say stuff that makes no freaking sense to me. It's so like whatever. And then like weeks or like days, whatever, in the future, I'll go back to this reading and it will make perfect sense that it has to do more with like star seeds. Not quite star seeds, but it has to do with more like astrological timing. And so there's been this one where it's like this star, it seems to be Sirius, has something to do with Isis. And it talked about a couple months ago that from now for the next 90 days, that it's going to be like, I don't exactly what it's been, this block, this gray phase, this hazy phase. That's what it is. Because it said in 90 days is going to be your abundance. Like whatever you work on, whatever you're focusing your time and attention to will be the thing that manifests. As they said, in this gray, hazy state, you could focus on the negative and then you can end up in a blackout, or you could focus on it and that rainbow will lead you to, what would be the opposite word of a blackout? It's not a whiteout, that's a snowstorm. It's almost like it's gold. It's not white, it's golden energy that kind of works you through this rainbowy, foggy haze on the other side. And then, so that kind of goes to my notes that I wrote later. I was like, this 90 days is finally like the planting season and the letting go and the real cultivating and the groundwork has been manifested. And I remember saying on the video, because I don't remember what video it is, I don't even know how to like link something to be like, hey, check out that this was this time. But it said, if you have a negative mindset, that this is going to be this next 90 days is going to be hard. And then if you have a positive mindset, so it just really said anything that's like karmic for you now, not to attach to things. It said don't attach to the good, don't attach to the bad. And I feel like that's when that block kind of came on. And it was like make or break moment. Who are you? Whoever it really is. And that's why I feel like it kind of got trapped or it got contained in this box, right? We don't ever really want to put things in boxes. But here we are kind of putting ourselves in a box, and this box kind of cuts us from our source, our ability just to force things to go forward and take accountability, take inventory. And that inventory is going to change the projections going forward. So I feel like that 90 days of whatever you are made of is coming to an end, and now the final product is going to come, the manifestation in the 3D. And so I feel like the haze, it's almost like when the light shines on a cloud, it just dissipates, right? um it's bringing me to the moment when you go and you hike the Inca trails for Machu Picchu, and you end up in the cloud forest. And the third day sucks because you're tired, you've walked straight up mountains, and then you get this freaking staircase that you're just like, I don't want to do it, but you gotta do it. And everyone has to do it, or else you'll never really get to see that moment. And I feel like timing, especially on the solstice. So the day that I went was on the pretty close. Was it the solstice? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And so at Machu Picchu, there's something like the Andean cross. And on the summer solstice, the sun hits it, right? It's just a rock, and then it hits it, and then the shadow lights up on the bottom, and it creates the bottom half of it. So for some reason, I feel like that's important, where the light and the dark in this block phase. And I almost feel like that rock was like the gray, whatever you want to associate with it. But anyways, any day, doesn't have to be on the solstice. You climb on the third day, you get to the cloud forest, and you look over and they're like, and that's Machu Picchu, because you had to wake up ridiculously early. And you look over and you're like, I see nothing. I just see a whole bunch of clouds. Like, was this worth it? Like, and then all of a sudden the sun rises. As soon as the sun rises, it hits the cloud, and then this whole like cool ancient city like emerges from the clouds. It's like burnt away, and you just see the stone standing. And that's what I kind of see is like for this 90 days, it's like this block, this fog has been put on you. It's a cloud forest, and whatever you are, right, you could tell yourself, I'm not doing those stairs, like I'm tired, I don't want to walk anymore. And then you wouldn't have made it to that moment. And I feel like timing is important in this, and I feel like thoughts and actions now going forward are important. The first part was just to get there and just sit and settle and observe. And now this light's going to be shone, and you're going to see this whole hidden city, this whole hidden truth, this whole hidden realm to you. And that's what I feel like now. In 90 days, whatever you've been working on, maybe you haven't seen things like going as fast as you want, right? You see the trees growing their leaves and flowers sprouting, and you know that this is the season, right? Spring and summer, to like take action and go forward. Like this is the growth season. Like why haven't things really been happening? And it's like trust and faith in that moment, because now time is go time. Now the sun kind of shines in, burns away all the fog, the confusion, the illusion, and you're left with truth and clarity. I feel like liquid gold moments. I don't know. I see like gray. It's almost like a moonstone, or like really dark gray with like a rainbow haze. And so like moonstone is the best I can kind of explain what I'm seeing. And then I'm seeing that transition to gold. And so, yeah, I'm hearing, oh, and I wrote down that the next 2 weeks are important for, it's almost like you're turning to this like liquid gold. You're connecting back to the source. It's almost like that cube is being like lifted off you, and you got that connection to your guides. You're gonna hear clear, and you're gonna know like what actions to take. You're not gonna doubt yourself. And so it's saying in this 2 weeks to really take care of yourself, nurture that fire and that flame within. It says next 2 weeks there's going to be strong manifestations. So I feel like before you're like pushing things to work. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And it didn't work. And so eventually you just like sat down and was like, I don't know what I want. The universe doesn't want what I want. It's not working out. It seems like I'm pushing uphill. And it wasn't quite time, they're saying. There's a lot to manifestation, especially when it involves other people, if they're part of your plan. The highest and greatest good of all. And so now it says this next cycle, plan based on the crop and how to store it. And then delegate. So yeah, you had all these plans. I feel like these plans, it's like it's now time to like go out there and like reap the benefits. You're gonna see huge change. And that's why I woke up this morning and I was like, things shifted. Like I feel it in my stomach. And I just feel like don't get too attached to the scenes around you right now, because in these moments that I always feel like you could wake up and like life will be totally different than you've ever knew. Right? You wake up and you're in the same bed, you're living the same life, same day, every single day. And I don't feel like that's going to be the same for much longer. It could be good, it could be bad. It's based on how you let the energy flow through you. Let the heart win. Don't let the mind talk you out of it. Because I feel like you've had that brain fog for a while, but now that you have clarity, it's almost like I feel like the mind is like, finally, because the mind's like, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's going on? Am I right? Should I go? And then now it's finally just going to be like open. That's all it has to do. Just listen and be open. It already likes what it sees, because whatever's within you, you've been doing the soul work, you've been doing the inner child healing and rescuing and soul fragments and all that stuff that kind of comes with an awakening. And this isn't your first awakening, so the process kind of gets easier and easier. They're just saying, don't be so hard on yourself when you have to reawaken to something you've already awakened to. We all go through it, and it's almost like even you needed that phase just to tie up some loose ends. That's it. And so the 90 days of you working through the things that you had to work through, congratulations, you did it. You did. Especially as like one of the readings in the past said, congratulations, you healed while sleeping. But in that story, it was about being asleep at the wheel, pretty much, like sleepwalking in life. And so in this gray, foggy, hazy state, you did what you were meant to do. You did the damn thing. So I do have cards out, but I feel like that this is the message. And so I've got a little picture. So what's this picture trying to tell me? So it said golden hour. And then from it, on this side, there was a need for wisdom and discernment. Discernment comes from wisdom, right? A need to just observe and check things as they are. And for some reason in the golden hour, I didn't circle it. I put in a box. I feel like whatever this is like finally time to break out of boxes. I'm seeing someone love structure, and they love to put boxes in boxes. And this last 90 days has been you unpacking those boxes, which I moved a while ago and I still can't find some of my boxes. Like I was looking for my like favorite coffee mug and I can't freaking find it. It never, I don't know. There's just things that are missing. And I feel like that's what like they're saying is like in those moments, in those gray hazy boxes that they put you in, it's for you to go within and be like, hey, I used to think this way. Hey, I had that before, and like kind of take inventory and be like, well, obviously I haven't had it for a year. Do I necessarily need it? And the answer is usually no. So that's all it is wisdom and discernment on this side. And then the golden hour is all about finding balance. And then it said temperance and time on this side. Because sometimes it's not time yet, and sometimes you just need to keep tempering. What about temperance? Obviously, there's like temperance in like a stone, like hot and cold, those kind of things. But I'm seeing it more in like, I've been learning a lot about stoicism. And not just quite stoicism, but cynicism or whatever, which I thought that was a cynic is like a very negative person who doesn't really like have trust in people. They always think like worst case is going to happen. But at one point in life, it actually started off with like I don't want to say religion, a philosophy or something. And it was almost like free spirit, like hippies and like freedom and like feminist kind of energy, like breaking out of that. Why am I talking about this? Temperance. So then it went to stoicism, because when I learned stoicism, it was like stoicism is a little bit based on cynicism. Like cynicism came first and then stoicism. And I found that a lot of what my guides teach is stoicism. And there was like 4 virtues, and temperance was one of them. And I think that's when this temperance, but how does temperance play out in this? It's almost like in this gray, hazy, foggy period. I want to keep calling it phasey because it's foggy and hazy. But yeah, if I say phasey, that's what that means. In that moment, it is for you to kind of take accountability and check what's up, and like I said, recheck your inventory, your old beliefs, thoughts, patterns, things that are keeping you trapped, because it's almost like I almost see like this is almost like taking you away from truth or clarity or light or manifestations, we'll say, taking you from the things that you want, and like going within and knowing that by doing the inner work now, even though you don't see that immediate results, is always better in the now. And then in the long run, it's almost like taking a little bit of that pain or accountability or something, even though you don't see any rewards from it. And that's why it says this is a make or break, because whatever really is within is going to spiral you to which field you play in, which chapter you write for yourself when the phasey box is taken off. Phase. Now I'm hearing like, and it won't phase you because you did the hard work now, especially to like live a virtuous life of like courage and things like that. Yeah. So that's what I feel like. It just wasn't time. And it kind of plays with your mind because in spring things are growing. Spring and summer, it's time to like plant things, and it's like fiery energy. It's go time. But to have this like box kind of placed on was a protective moment. So now that this box is being taken off, I feel weird. I feel like you've had this protective box and you've been like trying to make things happen, that it almost kind of like took your steam. And so now you're just here like, it is what it is. And I think that's kind of what Spirit wanted you to get to, is not to be so desperate to force something to happen, but just to allow things to happen. And so now that you're finally like, it's almost like I see you being like, I almost see my dog being bad. Sometimes he just needs to calm down and he has to go sit in his crate and calm down a bit. And then he comes in there and he's got all that energy, and then by the end he's just like, and that's what I see. And so and there's that dog again. And dog, and I was talking about cynicism. And the word cynicism, I forget, it's like to be dog-like or something like that. And then in the previous readings that I always, and look, I even pulled these ones, and these are the ones that always make me feel like I'm gonna pull that card. Come on out. It's this one. it doesn't creep me out normally, but when I hold it up like this, it's like a creepy face, but I always see like a dog. And then when I did this reading, this card came out. It talked about a dog, but that dog was also the dog star, had to do with Sirius. And then the Sirius unfolded into like Akashic records, things like that. But then it went to the planting time in Egypt, that it was almost like the cycle or the beginning of their year. So their calendar year, and that's what I keep talking about, these 90 days in the planting season. Their calendar year is based off of the monsoon or whatever, and when you can plant the crops. And so we're coming up to that 90 days where the new growth should be showing for them. I feel like now that this box is off, though, you're not forcing things. And because you're not forcing things, manifestations are just going to happen. And you're going to be like, man, I worked so hard. I fought so hard for that in the past. And like, it's just here now. So keep it light, keep it clean, keep thinking positively, drink lots of water. I feel like in this next 2 days, don't be so hard on yourself. When things are easier, I almost feel like you think you needed to struggle, but all you had to do was surrender. That's what the box was for. And so now, time and temperance, it's like that moment is like you've done the work, and that's what I see. It's like that car, and then like being like pulled back, and now it's just gonna zoom, speed off. So it's important for you to stay level-headed in these moments. What else do I see here? Yeah, it's like a lot of the things in that moment, because you were connected from source, you weren't seeing it in the 3D, but they were still, because you manifest no matter what. Everything was building and building and building. It's almost like underground, right? They grow roots and you don't know that it's the seeds growing, and all of a sudden it like pops up. And that's kind of what happened on the 5D. It's like things have been building and growing and growing and growing, and now that this box has been removed, you're going to start seeing it trickle down into the 3D. Yeah, I'm seeing it come as like rain. I'm seeing it being refreshing, and I see like your heart being like, it's almost like I see your soul be like, I need water, and then all of a sudden like finally getting rain, and like the parched being gone, and like that soothing thing, being so happy and blessed and thankful for that energy. And so yeah, next 2 weeks, 5D to 3D, there's going to be this little trickle. And so be thankful when it shows up in your 3D, because you worked really hard for this. You deserve it. I feel like for some of you, you're going to get what you want, and you're not going to think you deserve it, but you do, because you worked really, really hard for this. For the other bits, for the people who have been like doing all the hard work behind the scenes, and they're at that moment where they just need to hit enter, do it. Right now is such a beautiful time energetically. It's the golden hour. You've been planning and preparing and all this stuff, that it's like the only thing that's stopping you is this what if this doesn't work out. And that thought within you could pull it to not be. But what if everything worked out perfectly? You could spin the energy the other way just as easily. So go for it. And then for those who just really don't know what they're doing and they have no direction, I feel like you're going to get clarity in this next 2 weeks. And after these 2 weeks, yeah, I see from now until fall, you're not going to recognize a lot of things, and it's going to be for the better. Your life is going to shift and change in a very happy way. And so when you woke up today, be thankful, because there are other days when you're going to rest your head and wake up again, and you will not be in the same place. You will not be in the same scene. You will not be with the same people. So enjoy them. They're a blessing, everyone on your journey at this moment. And everybody knew who's to come into your life and play a part on this next path. Like I said, this is golden. It's a golden hour. We're in the golden hour right now. I said golden age, but we're in the golden hour. And this golden hour isn't, as it said, time. It's not just 1 hour. I feel like it's like the next 2 weeks. Soak up that golden energy and use it to help you with the forward momentum, to burn away that brain fog. That brain fog was there to help you, but you did a good job. You've done the observing, and now it's time to do the accepting, the receiving. That's what's happening. It's receiving time. It's golden hour. So we'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye, guys.